Welcome to the full button tutorial of the 2024 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid XLE. Now, as far as the review slash overview video on this car, it's identical to the 2023 and 22, so do check those out. But as far as the tutorial, we have a couple changes like on the MID. We're going to go over all the buttons at the driver's reach as if you just took possession of the vehicle. I typically go from left to right and wrap it up with the screen, but with that said, let's begin. Starting on the driver's door, all four windows are a one-touch click, up and down hands-free, which means with a hard click here or hard pull, the window will go hands-free without you having to hold the window button. And just north of the window levers, we have the window lock button here, in case you don't want passengers to be able to open up the windows, and the door lock and door unlock. Now you'll notice when you get close, the door lock button actually has two little nubbies. Those little bumps match the key fob to let you know that's the lock button. So you don't have to actually look down here while you're driving. You can just feel and you can lock the doors. And north of those, we have the adjustments for the side door mirrors. By pushing down the L, you can toggle the left mirror up, down, left, right, and the right mirror. And then if you push gently, the neutral position means that none of these options will adjust any of the mirrors, just in case. Onto the driver's seat. The XLE Hybrid comes standard with electronic seats. This little round button over here, you can move forward and back for your lower back support, also called lumbar support, by pushing and holding. It does not go up and down. We have the recliner switch to recline the seat forward or back. Then we have the up, down, and forward back lever here. Do notice though, if you push just the front, it'll support the front part of the cushion for a little more or less femur support without raising the seat up or down. Very nice. Same thing as the back. It'll kind of start lowering the seat a little bit. You can twist it to really get that seat exactly where you need. On the floor, you'll see these two round things. These are the floor mat locks, which will lock the floor mat into the floor. When the arrows line up, like you can see here, that means the floor mat is locked. But if you turn it like this, it'll be unlocked. And that prevents the floor mat from sliding under your brake pedal, which would prevent you from braking. Now, moving up from the floor, we have a lever and a button. Starting with the button, this push button here will open up the locking gas door, which is on the driver's side, and the lever over here will pop the hood. Coming up a little bit further north, we have a row of buttons here. Now, since this RAV4 has both available packages, the weather package and convenience package, we do have the heated options and the power hatch, but I'll go from left to right. Starting from the left, this wheel actually will scroll up and down to lower the brightness of the speedometer gauges and interior buttons or make them brighter. And you'll notice it has a stopping point where you can click it into place at the brightest setting. The next button is your auto high beams. By pushing this button, there'll be a little green bar, meaning the auto high beams are ready to roll. And when your headlights are in auto, those auto high beams will come on and go off on their own. The next button is your defrosting wiper blades. So when they are in the parked position, which is on the bottom of the windshield, you turn these on. The light is orange. It'll melt the ice off of the blades. And moving along, we have the heated steering wheel. This button is going to give you heat on the steering wheel, which is very nice. It's going to be more of a hard depressed click. That way you can leave it on overnight so it's on in the morning for your remote starter. And lastly, the power hatchback part of the convenience package, which also gives you the moonroof. By pushing and holding, you'll have a loud beep. The hatchback goes up, and push and hold to close it. It is height adjustable, which I have a separate video on, and you can also adjust the height in the MID, which we will see later in the video. Moving to our right, we have a lever to adjust the steering wheel, so it's no longer underneath like it was years ago. It's on the side, and now we can lower, raise, and telescope that steering wheel. Once it's in the perfect spot, just push that lever back up, and it's good to go. Above those, next to both outside vents, there's a little wheel on the side. If I move this up and down, I can change the amount of airflow. So when the lines go away, the airflow is less. Here's medium airflow and full airflow. You will feel a slight locking position for fully open. That's only going to be for the two outside vents. So all the way on the left and all the way on the right. These two middle vents here do not have that. You just have to kind of push them away from you. Onto the steering wheel and stalks. So on the RAV4 steering wheel, we have these two pads. We have one on the left and one on the right. There are no buttons on the back of the steering wheel like on some other vehicles, not Toyota vehicles. So let's start with the left. So the up and down arrows and side to side will operate the MID, which is going to be our helper screen over here. So there's going to be icons that light up. I can also go up and down. I can select or go back on those menus, and then underneath is the answer and hang up button for the phone calls. And down below we have the volume for the music or the phone calls, and then the audio button, which will do the Toyota audio assistant, or if you push and hold when you're connected, it'll do Siri or the Google Assistant that comes with the Google phones and your Android type phones. Onto the right side of the steering wheel, we have the cruise control and a couple more music buttons. So starting with the top, this is the cruise control set button. When I push this, I'm going to see a little green symbol all the way on the top left. See that little symbol there with the car? Now here's the cool part. If I turn that off by pushing the button, and I turn it on and I push and hold, it changes the symbol. That's your constant speed cruise control. That's going to not adjust the speed, because on Toyota Safety Sense, we have the adaptive cruise control, also known as dynamic radar cruise control, which will brake while you're on the highway and speed back up. So once I selected the cruise control button, I hit set, and it's going to show the speed on the screen. Then I can increase speed or decrease speed. If I push the brake, I can resume like this, or I can cancel the whole thing with the center button. Now, while in cruise, you might wonder, well, how do I adjust the sensitivity to the cruise control? It's done with the button on the top left. So this button over here I can push, and it's going to show on the MID screen by the speedometer what sensitivity level or following distance I have set. And then on the bottom over here, we have the lane departure alert with steering assist. Now we can change some of the settings to this, which you'll see in the MID section of the video, but this just turns it on and off. So when I turn it on, I get the symbol over there in white on the left. That's the symbol for the lane departure alert, and I push the button to turn it off. Lastly, on the right side of the steering wheel is the mode button and the seek and track. So for mode, it'll go through AM, FM, Bluetooth, or Sirius radio. If it's pushed and held, it will actually pause and mute the music. Then I have the forward and back for the songs. The steering wheel has a couple different stalk positions. I have it in parking lights right now, so my interior buttons are lit up for the video, but most people will ride here, which is automatic. Automatic is going to give you daytime runner lights, which is great for visibility, and then when it's dark, even during the day, say you're going through a tunnel or under a long bridge, it will sense it with the little sensor on the dashboard, which, by the way, people have asked. It's this little round thing right over here. So back to that stalk. In the auto position, it's going to do all the sensing for you. This is going to be the daytime runner lights off position, which is going to be no lights ever, just in case you're parked and you don't want any lights. Here's your auto, here's your parking lights, and then here is your full lights on, which you may want to turn on if you want those tail lights on during the day. On the right stalk, this operates the wiper blades on the front and back. So by moving the stalk up and down, it'll go through these different positions here. If I click it down once, it's going to go into the auto position, because that weather package not only comes with the heated options, it has the rain sensing automatic wipers. And then I can change the sensitivity here with this nice little grippy section to a couple different sensitivity levels for the automatic wiper blades, which will change with the amount of rain that's hitting the windshield. If I click it down again, it'll go to the low constant, and then down again will go to the high constant. If I pull the stalk towards me, it's going to spray the front windshield. If I push it away, it's going to spray the back windshield. Now this section here is going to be for the rear wipers. It's in the off position now. If I turn it forward, it'll go to once in a while in the back. Then if I turn it forward again, it's going to go to constant in the back. Next up, let's talk about the Speedo Cluster and the MID, which has changed recently. So here is the Speedo Cluster and MID. The MID stands for Multi-Information Display. That's the screen in the center, which when we use the arrows in the steering wheel, will go through the different icons. But starting with the Speedo Cluster, on the left-hand side, we have what would be the RPMs. We have the eco range. This needle is going to show you how the driving style of what you're doing is. It simulates the RPMs. When you're flooring it, it's going to go into the power range on the top. The park over here in red just means your parking brake is on, so you don't have to look at it. We'll get to that by buttons by the shifter. Then, of course, you have the little seatbelt symbol. When the vehicle's charging, the needle will dip down, and then, of course, it's going to be down when the vehicle's off. Do check out my Crash Course Hybrids video, because that explains how the hybrid powertrain works. And then over on the right, we have the engine temperature on the bottom right over here, and then is the fuel level on the top. There's a little arrow on the top there by the little fuel symbol, letting you know, in case you forgot, that the fuel door is on the driver's side. Then we have the time on the top right of the MID and a rainbow for the speed in analog style. The little green badge on the top that says EV, that's the EV reminder. That comes on when the engine is off. And then of course the other green symbol we went over, that just means I hit the radar button for the cruise control. Not necessary right now. Down on the bottom left, we have P for park. That's going to change to drive if we're in drive, or R if we're in reverse. That way I don't have to look at the shifter when I'm changing things. I can look right at the screen, which means my eyes are up where they should be. Outside temp is in the center at 71 degrees. And my trip A is right over there. Of course, changing my trip, there's a little stalk where I can change that. By pushing the stalk over here, I can change it to trip B or odometer, and then I push and hold to clear the trips like this. Now, the screen in the center of this rainbow style analog speedometer is what the MID actually is. So by moving left to right, the icons on the bottom row will light up, signifying which menu you are in. If you see little circles or a bar, like a scroller bar, like here on the side, on the right side, that lets you know there's more pages to go through. So starting from left to right, the leaf symbol, that's my economy / driving information. Couple different pages here. First page, my range. I also have a little green bar on the left, which is kind of my fuel economy, and that's going to change in real time while I'm driving. Don't judge the fuel economy on this because it's a brand new vehicle that hasn't really ever been driven in real life. You know, with real driving dynamics, I can push and hold the OK button on the steering wheel to reset that. If I go down, the next page is going to show me my eco score to show me how well I'm doing with my fuel economy. And then down again, I have my EV driving ratio. So this car has been 94% so far electric vehicle, which makes sense because it's only driven 3 miles. It's been in the parking lot the whole time, so it's going to keep the engine off as much as possible. Moving to the right, this symbol is my navigation / vehicle driving page. So it's going to show me if my navigation is on or off, and if my lane departure is on or off. And then down again, one of my favorite pages, the compass. So this is going to show me what road I'm driving on, if I'm hooked up to the cloud-based Toyota navigation, and the direction that I'm going in. By the way, you'll see BSM on the right there in green. That's going to be on all the time if your blind spot monitor is on. That's the little yellow lights in the mirror that turn on when somebody's in your blind spot. Those will strobe if you signal towards that lane when the light is on. And then of course, the green ready symbol on the bottom there, that means the vehicle is actually on. That's how you tell, because with a hybrid, sometimes you can't hear the engine, because with hybrid Toyotas, the engine doesn't start sometimes when you start the car. So that ready symbol in green is how you definitely know that it's on. Next to the right is the music page. I can push OK for source. I can change the source like this, and it'll show me the artist and the song that's playing. And the vehicle information. We have a couple different pages here. So we have the trip distance and the total time the vehicle's been on, one of my personal favorites. We have a diagram of the hybrid powertrain system showing us right now in real time that the engine is powering the battery to recharge. Fun fact, Toyota hybrid batteries are supposed to gain a lot of power and reduce a lot of power. They exercise, so that variation, that high variation of charge is normal and expected and really good to see with the hybrid batteries. So don't get scared if it goes low, it'll recharge when it needs to. Down again, we have the individual tire pressure. Now, these tire pressures are pretty accurate within a couple PSI. Of course, this vehicle has to get programmed, checked, readjusted. It just got from the factory, so all this stuff gets checked and reset before it hits the road. And the all-wheel drive monitor, so we can see in real time how much power each wheels are getting. Now in the Crash Course Hybrid video, we do go over the fact that there is no mechanical connection between the front and back axles, but we'll save that for that video, but you can see in real time what's going on. Next up, the settings. So here's where we can change some of the settings to stuff that we see in the MID and Speedo Cluster and the Toyota Safety Sense system, which if you're new to Toyota Safety Sense uses a camera on the windshield and a radar device behind the front emblem, and it's how the car sees what's in front of it, and we get lots of great stuff like lane departure alert, lane trace assist, pre-collision system with pedestrian detection. We're going to go over all these now. So LTA, lane tracing assist. That's what actually keeps the RAV4 in the center of your lane while you're using the lane departure alert or the dynamic radar cruise control with the lane departure alert. If I hold OK, I can change a couple things here. So I can turn the lane center on and off, change the sensitivity to high or low, put the sway warning on or off. That's the car detecting if I'm driving tired or distracted, and the sway sensitivity. So how likely it is to warn me that I'm swaying. Hitting the back button pre-collision system. This is how the car is going to sense that you are about to hit a person or a car, and it's going to alert you right away with a bright orange square that says brake in white letters, and if you don't brake, it's going to brake for you. If I hold OK, I can change the sensitivity and turn it on or off. Blind spot monitor, we discussed that earlier. Those are the yellow lights in the mirrors. When the system is on, which it is, you can tell because it says BSM in green, it will have the yellow light in the mirror. If you signal into that lane or that side, it's going to strobe letting you know, hey, there's something there. It's not going to beep though. Rear cross traffic alert is part of the blind spot monitor system. It's going to beep 4 times fast in several sequences to let you know, hey, I sense movement behind me. So don't confuse this with parking sonar or park assist. This is not the feature that beeps faster as you get closer. This is the feature that beeps in increments just to let you know I sense movement. This is great for perpendicular driving. I'm backing out of a parking spot and there's a car whizzing by. This will sense it before your eyes can see it. Road sign assist reads road signs on the roads and will display them on the display. If I hold OK, I can change the notification method. So I can do for the above speed limit notification to be no notification, visual, or visual and audio. That'll be like an orange border around the speed limit sign. And for others over here, going back, vehicle settings. So if I hold OK, the power back door, aka the adjustable hatchback height that we discussed. There is a video where I show you how to do it very quickly, but here's where I can do it manually from the car. So I push this, I can go to opening adjustment, and there's 5 different levels of height. Now you can customize it on the fly by opening the car, stopping it from the outside, and holding that close button until it beeps a bunch of times. But this is how you do it from the inside of the car. And of course the volume, say you want it a little more low key, you can turn that down, which I personally really like. I like a lot of low volume things. The tire pressure warning system right over here. Push OK. I can set pressures, change wheels, great for servicing because you want to be rotating those tires when you change the oil. Rear seat reminder, great for new parents, babysitters, new dog owners, somebody who's not used to having, you know, precious cargo in the back. Regular people who are always with the precious cargo, they might get annoyed and want to turn that off. But if you're new to having that person or important thing in the back, or pet, you might want to put that reminder on because maybe you'd forget due to muscle memory of just jumping out of a car. This will remind you, hey, check what's behind you. So if it's annoying, you can turn it off or you can turn it on. That's great to see. And then scheduled maintenance, I can push OK to reset the data. Great for when you're done with the service. Lastly, the meter settings. So holding OK, I can change my language. Not a ton of options. Toyota, hopefully we see some more in the future. Units, a couple different options there. Meter type, one of my favorites. Check this out. I can go to all digital and watch the rainbow disappear. Pretty neat. However, I really personally like the analog. Let me know what you think down below if you prefer the analog or the digital. A couple more things I went back too quick. The EV reminder on or off. I don't know why I'd want to turn it off, but you can. There he is again at the top. He reminds you that your engine is off. So he's letting you know I am an electric vehicle right now. Then I can actually change some of the information shown on the actual pages that I look through. So I can focus on certain information here. So these symbols all look familiar, right? These are the different pages that we went through. I can start editing these different pages. See? And I can focus and change the information. Pop-up displays, those are like your banner alerts on your phone. When something happens, it has the banner. You can turn those banner alerts, which we call pop-up displays, on or off for certain things. Of course, I can turn off the MID for more of a clean-cut look. Looks a little empty to me. Push OK to turn it back on. And I can go to default settings, back to factory, restored. And the last is the little warning symbol on the bottom right. That little guy will light up orange and stay orange over there in the bottom if it needs something like super low pressure in the tire, it's losing air, it's time for maintenance, one of the sensors is sensing something, there's ice blocking my radar sensor, something's damaged, car's really old and something happened. It's going to store that and it's going to stay orange so that you never forget. Trust me, a Toyota will never let you forget if it needs something. And back to the right, we are in the beginning. So that wraps up the MID tutorial. Let's work our way on over to the buttons by the shifter. or buttons by the shifter. Now remember, this generation of RAV4 came out in 2019, so if you've never seen any of this stuff before, you're totally new to Toyota, or you just haven't, been looking at car stuff in a long time. We're due for a change soon. 2026 is going to be the redesign. So we got one more year after 24, and then all this stuff is, likely going to be different. But in case you didn't know, I see a lot of people do like a side grip here. The proper form here for the shifter is an overhand grip. Look how perfect that fits the hand. Push the brake, button in, down she goes. When you're in drive, you can push the lever over to the S position, and you can toggle up the gears or toggle down the gears. If you're in a gas model, it's going to go through your 8 speeds. In the hybrid, it's going to go through that ECVT. Back to drive, back to park. Now when we go into reverse, here's our backup camera. This has the dynamic grid lines, so those change while you're turning the wheel. All right, we also have a couple different things we can push over here. We can change it to more of a peripheral view. We can change the style of the lines. People love this backup camera. Not a big deal for me. I do like the notches, but I don't use these lines to aim the vehicle. I'm old school. I use the mirrors. I park cars all day, every day. And then once you put it back in park, that self-applying parking brake re-engages on its own. The little red light comes on, which I suspect is going to disappear because this is a redundancy, because it says park over here in red. That's how we know that parking brake is on. So we're starting to see that red light get phased out. You never have to use this. Disengages when I go out of park for any reason. Re-engages within a couple seconds once I'm back in park. And a pro tip about the parking brake, check this out. You know how in a lot of automatic cars, when you put it in park, the car kind of like bounces once or twice on the tranny? It's because you're parking on the parking pole. You're not parking on the parking brake, which, if we want to get technical, really isn't a great idea. Let's fix that. When you go back to park, keep your foot on the brake for a couple seconds until you see it says park in red. Then you take your foot off and it's parked on the brakes, and you'll have a very happy parking pawl and a very happy transmission. Not that you would inherently break the transmission, but just a pro tip so you don't get that little bounce. So it helps your comfort. Speaking of comfort, the brake hold button, when you push this, oh, it won't let me unless I buckle up. So let me buckle up real quick. This guy, so let's push it again. We're gonna get hold in green. Now, this guy lets me come to a stop while I'm in drive, and once I see it in yellow over here on the right, I can take my foot off the brake while I'm in drive, and it holds it for me. Great for the traffic jams, city traffic, injured feet, injured knees, diabetic, lazy, long leg day at the gym. Use your imagination. It's going to hold it for you, and it just takes the workload off. And then you give it a little bit of gas, the car goes forward. Once you come to a stop, it holds it for you again. It only works in drive. That way you know when you push the pedal, you don't have to guess what direction you're going in. It's only going to go forward, which is where you want to go. Finishing up with the buttons by the shifter, we have what I call the tuna can. When I tilt this clockwise and release, the rainbow turns red and it puts me in sport mode. When I turn it counterclockwise and release, it's going to go green into eco mode. When I push it down, it goes back to white for normal mode. So sport, eco, normal. See? Eco, sport, normal. You can change these while the vehicle's moving or stationary. It's going to change the personality and the drive dynamics slightly of the vehicle. Sport mode, that's going to give you a little more power. Eco mode, a little less power, but it saves gas, and it puts on the eco AC, which is really nice. And then normal, a blend between the two. There's no perfect time to use any of these modes. You just pick the one you like. I tend to like sport mode most of the time, but if it's a super chill day or I'm driving in a congested area, I'll probably put it back into eco. Say I'm in a hurry or I just want a little more fun, I want that torque to unlock on those little electric motors that power the all-wheel drive. And speaking of electric, EV mode. So if the battery has regenerated itself, which it does, it charges itself through the brakes and the engine. Once it's past, I believe, 70%, I can push this, and it's going to favor keeping the engine off at lower speeds, which should be somewhere around 25 miles an hour and less. So a mall crawling, traffic jam, city traffic, drive-through, I can force it, and it's going to do that. Now, since the battery is not regenerated that much, when I push the button, it tells me it's unavailable. So let's check its work. If I go to vehicle information here, and I go down to the hybrid powertrain, look, the battery is just under half. So that makes sense why when I push this, it's not doing anything. But yes, definitely great for when it has regenerated itself, you can have the decision. It's not going to go at your higher speeds. And another thing I get asked sometimes is, okay, Brian, well, I'm running really low on gas. Can I choose EV mode and just kind of crawl my way to the gas station? Not a good idea. My personal suggestion is always fill up at a quarter if you can, because you can't run this car like a Tesla when you run out of gas. The car needs the gas engine available at any time. Whenever this car requires it, it's going to need it. Moving forward, we have some charging over here in the front. We got the USB and the 12 volt. That USB will actually be a hardwire or a tether to the CarPlay or Android Auto, just so you know. Even though it's wireless, you can hardwire it. And then next up, we're going to talk about the climate control. So for the RAV4 Hybrid climate control, we have these two really big knobs. Then we have some buttons in the middle. And we have a couple really nice buttons underneath. So let's start from left to right. So this guy is the temperature for me. This guy is the temperature for the passenger. If you want everything to match, all you have to do is hit the sync button over here, and you can change the whole car like this. See how both sides are going? Now what I really like is this button here. When you hit auto, all you have to do is change the temp, and watch how the fan speed and the air direction change for me. See, feeling a little hot, I turn it down. It's gonna blast it on my torso. See, I'm feeling a little bit cold and I need to turn it up. Watch this. It's going to put it down low because heat rises and my toes get cold fast. The AC is going to be automatic for that because usually the air is pretty moist. But the recirculate, most of the time, you will have to control. That's going to recirculate the air. Two reasons why I want to use this. One, I want to cool the air that's already cold. Or two, I'm in a stinky or dusty environment. So say I turn this up like this. See how it didn't know to turn this off? You may have to do that on your own. That's the only catch. But generally I like it somewhere around 70, and I'll recirculate it if I want the air to be just a little bit cooler. Say it's a little muggy out. A couple other things, I can turn the system off like this, or I can hit auto and it'll resume where I left off. And then for the buttons over here, let me just get some focus. Front and rear defrost are right next to each other, which are really nice. Eco heat and cool I can use whenever I want. That's going to basically take the drag away from the HVAC system, like a lot of 4 cylinders from back in the day. You know how you missed a little bit of horsepower? That'll take away the drag and it'll make the AC system just a little bit less sharp. Of course, I can manually control. I can go up or down in fan speed, and I can change the direction however I want. And it's cool how the symbols are right next to where it is actually on the screen. Then I got the recirculate and the cancellation button so that the rear passenger vent turns off. Say they get a little bit chilly. Then I can turn it back on by uncanceling. So that's the HVAC system. Below it though are some of my favorite buttons. Because this has the weather package, we have the heated seats. So we have high, low, and off for driver and passenger. And then we have the turn off button for the traction control. Say we got a bunch of snow and we want to allow a little bit of wheel spinner or a gravel trail. Boom, right there. And speaking of trail, I did forget the trail button. Sorry guys, the trail button on the RAV4 is just going to change the all-wheel drive system a little bit so this thing can handle driving on gravel trails, dirt trails, stuff like that. No big deal. Not a rock crawling car, not a heavy-duty off-roading car, but for your campsites, fishing sites, you know, you pull in, you know, a very small couple kayaks, dirt bike on the back, something like that. Go on the gravel trails, boom, that'll help you out. Now you might wonder, oh, well, what's over here? On the gas model, you have the little thing that says A off. That turns off the feature where the engine shuts off. I want to make something very clear because people get confused. On gas cars, you come to a stop, the engine shuts off. If you don't like that feature, you kill it with this button. On hybrids, the engine shuts off, but the car is on. So on a gas model, when the engine shuts off, the whole car is off. It's not on at all. But on a hybrid, when that engine turns off, the car's still on. Because remember, a hybrid has 2 cars combined. It has a gas and an electric combined. So even though the engine turns off on a hybrid, the car's still on and you can drive with that engine off. Not so on a gas model. So some people don't like that engine turn off feature on the gas models. They kill it with this. So there's nothing missing here for you hybrid drivers. This is just a gas model button over here. Of course, we have the hazards over here. We're going to wrap up with the screen, which I have a separate tutorial video that's going to be linked down below in the description. But I want to talk about overhead features and we'll wrap up with this guy. For overhead features, this RAV4 does not have a auto-dimming rearview mirror. It does not have garage link. It does not have a digital rearview mirror. It's a simple dolphin flipper. Here's our little flipper. Flip. Done. No big deal. However, these are going to be standard across for all the RAV4s besides these. Since this RAV4 not only has the weather package, it also has the convenience package. The convenience package, like I mentioned, gives you the power moonroof, tilt and slide, and that power hatchback. So to open up the moonroof, hold it for 2 seconds. And she's going to stop a little short of open all the way. This is the most noise resistant position, great for the highway. Say you're going a little bit slower or you want a little more air. There's a little extra, but just be careful. You could have a little bit more wind buffeting like this. Then I push close for about 2 seconds, not even 2 seconds, about a second, and let go. Closes up. You can basically put this wherever you want based on the level of light that you want. Speaking of that, we have the up and down, which is your ventilation. Really nice button. So check out when I push up. Really nice. And I can even micro adjust if I want just a little bit of vacuum. And if I do this, I create a nice gentle pull of air. But here's the catch. When you turn off that RAV, don't forget to close this before you shut it down, because you don't want water mixing in with your car. Water and cars don't mix anymore. Too much computerized stuff. That closes it up. But the great thing about the RAV4 Hybrid is when you turn off the car and you forget your moonroof or your windows, it's going to let you know on your helper screen, the MID, that you forgot to close them. Now, of course, we have the individual lights over here for left and right side. We can turn on all the lights like this, and this light will this button will operate the lights and have them come on with the door. Say you want a little more privacy, or you don't like bright lights ruining your night vision, you can kill that. And then we have the Safety Connect, which you sign up for when you buy the car through the Toyota app. Push that button. It does not launch missiles, guys. This actually will activate the emergency services to come and help you out if you're having a medical emergency or you get no crash. If the airbags go off, it's going to send a signal anyway for you. And then, of course, we have the driving or sunglasses holder right over here. All right, let's wrap up with the screen. On the Toyota screen, like I mentioned, in the description to this video and in the description to all my videos, I have useful links. I did an in-depth tutorial of this screen and I went over a couple really cool features, but I'll just show you very quick. So basically, you buy the car, you connect to Bluetooth, you say yes to CarPlay, you get the Toyota app. If you accept the terms, it's going to activate your Safety Connect. You're good to go. We dive deep in that video, but a couple basic things. We have the settings here. You can do your date and time, language and units. Also display. I can turn the display off like this. Tap again for that. I can change the brightness and contrast. I can make it go to dark mode all the time, which is really cool. Another couple things you might like. Now do check out that video. We got the sound and media right over here, so I can change that equalizer, which is cool. And then vehicle customize. Oop, missed it right there. So the screen's fast. It definitely works way better than the last gen. But look, I can change the light options, door control and climate if I don't want that auto AC we talked about during the AC thing. Door control, so I can set it so that the doors stay locked when I shift it to park. Secret area over here, I can change the feedback lights, so I don't want the car blinking when I lock it, or if I don't want it beeping so loud when I lock it. Really cool stuff. And then lights, how long the headlights down when I turn it off. The sensitivity to the automatic lights, say I want it more or less sensitive. Then DRLs, I don't know why you'd ever turn these off unless you want to be a super incognito, nobody's ever going to see you, but you have the option. Canadians, sorry, it's mandatory for you guys. And then the auto off timer for the interior lights. Say I want a little bit more time when I shut the car off, I can bump it up a notch. Then of course I got the AM and FM radio, which is more of a widget style. And then this is a redundancy because you're going to connect to Bluetooth anyway, and it's going to hook up to CarPlay. And then over here, the energy flow diagram, which they mistakenly phased out on some models, and I think they're going to keep or bring back. You can see in real time what's going on. We dive a little deeper on this in the Crash Course Hybrids video attached in the description down below, but right now in real time we can see the engine is on. It's powering the electric motor on the front of the vehicle, which is recharging the battery. Of course, you can see that separate electric motor in the back, which powers the back axles. So this vehicle is going to do whatever it can, whenever it can to charge, and give you a nice smooth ride. Of course, there's the button for the cloud-based Toyota navigation. Whew! What a tutorial. Now, like I said, guys, well, first of all, thank you so much for watching, but real quick before you go, if you made it this far, please give this video a like, and even more important, please subscribe to the channel. I'm asking you personally, because even if you're never going to watch another one of my videos, by you subscribing, it's going to get my Toyota content more likely out there to other people who might not have otherwise seen it and could have used a tutorial like this, because I love helping people. You are the one that makes the difference getting this information out. So I would be so grateful if you were able to subscribe to the channel. Also, Big shout out to my subscribers. I love you guys. You've been supporting me since the beginning, and all my new subscribers, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for your support. What I was going to get to was on the overviews of the cars. I've been asked for the overview on the new 2024 RAV4. The outside's the same. So I invite you, like I said, to check out the video on the 22 and 23. The gas model is going to be the same exterior. The interior is 90% the same. The only thing that changed slightly was this guy over here. And then this guy, I mean, has changed since 2023. But other than that, we're working with the same buttons here, so it's nothing new. But if you're new to this video, I would like you to give me a special comment down below and say, hey, Brian, this is the first video of yours I saw. And let me know what you think. Did this type of content help you? Is there any other different type of way I could have given you this content? I like to know what you think. My regular viewers know I'm always down in the comments watching and responding to you. I want to know what you think, and I also want to know what else you need. Let me know what other cars you want to see. Let me know if there's any type of content you're interested in. I mainly do reviews and tutorials, but I'm open to ideas. I want to give people what they like as well. I'm a big Toyota guy, but with that said, it was a little long-winded. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you. Please share it with anybody who you think might benefit from this content. And with that said, I will see you in the comments and in the next video. This is Brian signing out. Peace.